I'm Yoni Pizer. I am board chair of Chicago AIDS Garden. Welcome and thank you for being here. This is going to be a brief program before we do a sneak peek of the garden itself. Today obviously is December 1st, which for the last 34 years has been World AIDS Day. So we are here to commemorate, remember, and put all of this in context, the garden and where we are with HIV and AIDS. I would like to start out with Alderman Tom Tunney.
Thank you, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the 44th Ward. And Yoni, I think that I've been through every 34 of those World AIDS Day, as many of you in this room have helped support the education, the embattlement against this virus and epidemic. As the alderman for the past 18 years plus at this point, the Belmont Rocks has always been a special place for the LGBT community. And in early 2003, the Army Corps of Engineers worked on the erosion here at Belmont Rocks, and it was quite the community stir there about disrupting the Belmont Rocks because it is such a special place for our community. So with that, it's very hard, as many of you know, especially our elected officials and park commissioners, really have a difficult struggle with the Army Corps of Engineers. They're doing it their way, and literally in the highway. But what we were able to do was to acquire a number of the rocks that had artistry on them and make them part of the cornice of the revetment. And also, we have, at that point, a bunch of conversation circles that were really trying to attract people to the Belmont area. It was then that idea that I decided we need to do somewhat of a permanent remembrance of the Belmont Rocks. And so the vision of AIDS Garden Chicago started with that idea. And thanks to many administrations, from Mayor Daley, Mayor Emanuel, and Mayor Lightfoot, and our park commissioners, I'm Mike Kelly. I said Mark Kelly at a press conference before, but actually Mark Kelly did a lot as chairman of cultural affairs and special events. But that being said, the team out here has supported our vision, of our community vision, and we really got a boost. We have a lot of private donors, and please, AIDS Garden Chicago still has, we still need money. But I do want to thank our friends in Springfield with a major grant of, I think it was $1.4 million or more from the State House. And Greg Harris, I don't think is here today, but we would not be here today celebrating World AIDS Day and AIDS Garden Chicago without the help of Greg Harris. And many of you know Greg had been instrumental in what was then called Open Hands Chicago, which was a meal on wheels for homebound AIDS patients. And that's how Greg and I got to know each other. But our goal, and I know Yoni's going to bring on our speakers, is really getting to zero and ending this epidemic in our lifetime. This garden is not only for reflection, but it is for education. And there is a community garden component of it to make sure the community is embedded in this 3-acre site. So I'm more than thrilled that we got it done, so to speak, but there is still a lot of work to do as the garden evolves, and certainly hopefully one day celebrating getting to zero again in the very near future. So thanks everyone for being here, and I couldn't be more thrilled with today, and excited that you all are here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, and with that getting to zero, perfect segue to our next speaker, my dear friend and a pillar of the LGBT community in Chicago, CEO of the AIDS Foundation of Chicago, John Peller. John.
Thank you, Yoni. Good morning, everybody. I'm John Peller with AIDS Foundation Chicago, and In case you wonder why the room is rocking, it's not my amazing words. We are on a boat, and thank you to folks who reminded me about that. So I want to give a very brief update this morning on where we are in the HIV epidemic. But first, I want to say a big thank you to the funders of AIDS Garden Chicago, to all of the donors, to Alderman Tunney for his tremendous leadership over many, many years in getting this garden built, to Willa and the Chicago Parks Foundation, Willie, there you are, for the tremendous work, the Park District, our state legislators, for their tremendous leadership. So thank you everyone for making this possible. World AIDS Day is a day to remember and honor the people that we've lost, and also to celebrate our tremendous accomplishments. And today I want to remember Larry Mckeon, who was our first openly gay, openly HIV positive state legislator in Illinois. And he was elected, I had to look this up this morning on Wikipedia, in 1997. And that was just 2 years after the introduction of what was then called drug cocktails, highly active antiretroviral treatment that literally allowed people who were dying from HIV to get out of bed and live their lives again. And 2 years after that, Larry went down to Springfield, and along with Sarah Feigenholtz and so many other elected officials, paved the way for the strong HIV response that we have today at the city and the state level. And so we owe so much to Larry, and of course to Sarah and to the other leaders in Springfield. Larry was a tremendous mentor and friend, and he died in 2008. And my partner David and I are giving a leaf to the garden in honor of Larry, and I'm proud to be here. So today, 40 years into the pandemic, there's some really great news about HIV, and there's also some areas where we need to do a lot better. And some of the great news is that we have the potential to end the HIV epidemic. And Alderman Tunney talked about the Getting to Zero Illinois strategy, which we lead at AIDS Foundation Chicago in partnership with the city and the state health departments. And the really other great news is that HIV cases are going down, both in the city and the state, and they've dropped by 16% in Illinois since 2009, and 26% in Chicago, which is really fantastic and tremendous progress. But the area where we need to do better is that HIV rates are going down for white people, but not at the same rate for Black and Latinx people, and that is where we need to improve. And racial disparities have really been baked into the HIV epidemic from the beginning. And another way to look at these disparities is with viral suppression. When someone's treated for HIV and the treatment is working, their viral load is undetectable and they can't transmit HIV. And that's where we want everyone living with HIV in the state of Illinois to achieve. But we're not there. And while 60% of white Chicagoans are virally suppressed, that number goes down to 50%, almost 10% lower for Latinx Chicagoans, and down to 45%, 15% lower for Black Chicagoans. And why? And what can we do about it? CDC said it beautifully yesterday in a report that they released, that the root causes of these disparities are systemic racism, HIV stigma, discrimination, homophobia, poverty, homelessness, and unequal access to treatment. That's a lot of isms and challenges that we need to address at the societal level. So what gives me hope? 2 years ago, or a little more than 2 years ago, CDPH introduced a new model of prevention and care that is really showing some promise. And what CDPH has done with tremendous input from the community is to bring the HIV prevention and care systems together to create an HIV status neutral system for providing treatment and care to people living with HIV. So no matter what door you walk into, if you're HIV positive and negative, there's a path to HIV medications for prevention or treatment. And this model is not perfect, but it is certainly showing promise. We also have the federal government back at the table in a new way, thanks to the Biden administration. And today, the Biden administration is releasing an updated national HIV/AIDS strategy, which we're excited to view, but it looks like the administration is going to be putting a renewed emphasis on addressing the social determinants of health, like housing, for example. And then this is tremendously super exciting. At the end of January, we expect that the FDA will approve a new injectable form of PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, which can be taken every 2 months to prevent HIV. So imagine that 6 times a year, someone will be able to go to the doctor and get an injection and be almost completely protected against HIV. It's really pretty unbelievable. Now, of course, we have a lot of challenges to make sure that's covered by insurance, to eliminate the disparities in uptake in PrEP, but these new models are what we need to continue to make progress in ending the epidemic. So thank you, AIDS Garden folks, for all the work that you have done to build an incredible memorial and celebration of people living with HIV and the fight that we continue to engage in today, and I look forward to seeing it in person. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate you giving us an update and really putting all of this in context. Thank you very much. And our final speaker is Antonio King from the CDPH, the Chicago Department of Public Health. He is the LGBTQ liaison and health person, and we're thrilled to have him here. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Y'all can clap better than that for this black man. As Judy said, my name is Antonio King. I'm with the Chicago Department of Public Health. For the past 17 years, I've been with the Chicago Department of Public Health. And in the last 5 years, I've served as the LGBTQ Health and Outreach Liaison to the City of Chicago. I say the Health Department, but because I am basically one-man show, I'm with the entire City of Chicago, including sometimes the Mayor's office. I'm so pleased to be here, but I wanted us to take just a moment, I know time is of the essence, to just take a moment of silence for those individuals and soldiers and lives that were lost in the battle and those that are still fighting the battle. Thank you. We all stand on their shoulders of the work that they've done and the sacrifices that they've made. With that being said, in 2016, Chicago Department of Public Health joined the AIDS Foundation of Chicago and the Illinois Department of Public Health to create a plan to end the HIV epidemic in Illinois. The plan, Getting to Zero, lays out a bold vision and specific action steps for preventing new HIV infections and for supporting individuals living with HIV to ensure that they have every opportunity to thrive. CDPH has worked in tandem with the Getting to Zero team to ensure our new HIV service delivery model is fully aligned. Beyond creating health homes for all persons living with and vulnerable to HIV in Chicago, CDPH's service delivery model invests in community engagement, projects that address structural barriers, including systemic racism that often prevent people from accessing services. The model also funds 2 first-of-their-kind programs. One is dedicated to reducing unstable housing and homelessness among HIV-negative Black and Latino gay men who use pre-exposure prophylaxis, or PrEP, as John alluded to. The second is a citywide HIV resource hub that connects people to resources regardless of their HIV status. In 2020, the hub fielded more than 1,400 calls and connected hundreds of people to more than 600,000 in the emergency financial assistance during the height of the COVID pandemic. We express our sincere thanks and appreciation to all of our HIV partners who continue to provide critical services throughout the COVID pandemic. And we look forward to working not just in 2022, but moving forward until we do what? Eradicate HIV and get to zero. Thank you very much.
I failed to acknowledge our interim park commissioner, Rose Escarino. Rose, stand up and stand up. Rose has been a valuable friend and ally for many, many years, and we wish her good luck at the parks. And of course, the Yacht Club for hosting us this morning. So thank you. And there are beverages and some light refreshments.
Thank you, Alderman. Yes, thank you, Antonio. I was going to just give a few shout outs. The AIDS Garden in Chicago has really been a multi-decades project in the works. And it would not have happened with incredible, amazing leaders in our community, many of whom are here in this room, and I just wanted to mention briefly a few of them. First of all, obviously, Alderman Tom Tunney, who's a force of nature for many of you. And I wrote down, because there's so many people who helped make this happen. Willa Lang, Director honestly, none of this would happen without her keeping us all on task, and her vision and her hard work to make this all happen. It's just incredible, and I am personally grateful to my friend Willa for everything she does. We are lucky enough to have Jim McDonough and the new director, Chirag Badlani, from the Alphawood Foundation, the Tunney Foundation, Walgreens, Beaumier Donor Advised Family Fund, the Elizabeth Morse Trust, Chicago Park District. Rosa, thanks again for being here. And in addition, the state of Illinois has been a wonderful partner in this, including State Senator Sarah Feigenholtz, House Leader Rep. Greg Harris, State Rep. Margaret Croak, some guy named Yoni Pizer, as well as U.S. Congressman Mike Quigley. Further thanks to AIDS Foundation Chicago, John Peller, Senator in Halstead, Tico, where are you?
And a now board member.
And board member of Chicago Park District. Let's see, Manisha Cole with the Design Workshop, Friends of the Parks, Howard Brown Health, the Keith Haring Foundation, Legacy Project. Victor, where are you? Victor Salvo and Owen Kean, thank you very much. And also Mariano's, The Moth, Outspoken, David Fink, where are you? I saw you here. David Fink over there in the corner, and the Roosevelt Fine Arts LLC. So, and I would also like to thank another worker bee who's also made this possible, and that is Chris Jessup right here. Thank you also for all of your hard work. So Willa is kind enough to lead us on a sneak peek of the garden, which I'm so excited to see. I haven't seen the latest thing. Every time I drive on Lakeshore Drive, whether it's 6 in the morning or 6 at night, there are people doing work here, and it's so exciting to give you a sneak peek on this. Just, I want to speak personally for a moment. My husband, Brad Lippitz, and I were fortunate enough to enjoy the Belmont Rocks in the 80s and 90s. And it's really was a very special place. It was a meeting place before all the online apps and ways to find out who was around you. You would just hop on your bike or walk over and enjoy the rocks, beautiful views of the city of Chicago and Lake Michigan. But what the AIDS Garden in Chicago really represents, it's 2.5 acres of a park with a purpose. And the AIDS Garden is going to be an amazing place where we can reflect, we can educate, we can be prideful, and we can join as a community to commemorate the early days of the AIDS Garden, of the AIDS crisis, and we can also celebrate, yes, celebrate what a community that is united, educated, and motivated to fight a worldwide pandemic, what that community can do. And yes, there are lessons to be learned today. So thanks again for everyone for being here, and let's get our jackets on and let's have a tour with Willa. Thank you all for being here.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you all very much for being here this morning. Where we're standing is one of the entrances to the AIDS Garden Chicago, a future home for everyone, where everyone can come together, reflect, heal, and celebrate togetherness. And this is the parking lot. This is where, if you would park your car, this is where you'd enter. The main entrance of the AIDS Garden is a little bit south, and it has various sections in the garden, and there's a serpentine trail that connects the main entrance of the garden to the core, which is where you see the sculpture, the Keith Haring sculpture out in the background. So with that, I welcome you all to come inside and take a sneak peek of what is going to be the future home for AIDS Garden Chicago.
Can you let people know?
Tell us your name and how to spell it.
Oh, yes. Of course, that little detail. My name is Manisha Kaul. I am a landscape architect with Design Workshop, which is a national firm with 8 offices across the United States. And I'm really thrilled to be the designer for this project.
And spell your name.
Okay, it's MANISHA, and my last name is Kaul, Kaul.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all. Welcome.
We divided the garden into features because we knew that people love to be connected to their parks, and they love to be connected to features, and they want to feel a sense of ownership. And so we worked with Design Workshop and Mike Dimitrov and Stefan and all the folks at the Park District. We worked together and we created these garden features. And what we did is we worked with our very generous donors like Alphawood Foundation, Alderman Tom Tunney, Tunney Foundation, and others to create little areas. There's one area that's called the Ginkgo Grove of Reflection. We also have a unity garden, which is going to be where our community garden stewards will gather and help us maintain the garden. And we also have the Celebration Plaza, which is where the Keith Haring sculpture, it's entitled Self-Portrait. That is self-portrait right there. So if you see yourself in it, now you know why it's called self-portrait. And then we are also creating a sunrise garden of healing. So we have a magnificent entryway that has a donor wall, and John referred to it because there's going to be bronze ginkgo leaves embedded with messages or names, and that will be debuted in the spring for our grand opening. But we also are creating the Sunrise Garden of Healing, which will be at the back entrance, which is where the water meets the land. And it'll be a new space of reflection and gathering. So thank you, Manisha, for all your hard work. And you will see it come to life as the gardens and the plantings grow, and the ginkgo trees, which Alderman Tunney was so adamant, making sure those ginkgo trees were there. And we got them, and they're beautiful.
Giving me an earful. Get them right.
So we continue to fundraise to make sure that we maintain this garden to a pristine, the respect and care that it deserves. And we also have a quilt of stories that we are collecting on our website. It's called AIDS Garden Chicago. We want to collect the stories. One of the things that I was so touched with as we were building this garden and constructing it is people would stop by and say, what's happening here? We would tell them, and then they would start to share these stories of love and togetherness and loss, and we wanted to make sure to capture those stories as well. So anyways, without further ado, please join the journey.